Let's look at the relationship of action and purpose. Our symbol for action and purpose is ACPOR, A-C-P-O-R, and the definition of action purpose is the relationship between an action in one proposition, and then one that is intended as a result. So we're looking for, in action and purpose, look for intention and purpose over against, in the relationship that we looked at in the last video, action result, where we're looking more for a natural consequence or a result of an action rather than in action and purpose intention. That's going to be the difference between action and purpose, because the key words can be similar or the same. For action and purpose, the key words that we're looking for here are words like in order that, or so that, or with a view to, with a view to, or to the end that, to the end that, or even a word which doesn't get enough spotlight, lest. Lest something happen as a consequence. So thinking about action and purpose, in order that, so that, with a view to the end that, lest, or even just by itself, the word that. So you can see there's a lot of crossover, and there will be crossover between categories, but here we have, particularly between action and result and action purpose, some of the same keywords. In the relationship of action and purpose, when we diagram this, we're going to come under the arcs, because this is a subordinate relationship, action, purpose, and then we're going to draw one arc over the top to say that these two propositions are in the relationship of action, purpose. There's an action and then one that is intended as a result, or a purpose that is intended as a result of that action. Let's take a look at an example of this in Galatians chapter 3, verse 24. Galatians 3:24 says, "The law was our guardian until Christ came, comma, in order that," so there's our key words, in order that, clues us in that this may be the relationship of action and purpose, the words of intentionality, of purpose, in order that we might be justified by faith. The law was our guardian until Christ came, so that's one proposition. Key words, in order that, second proposition, we might be justified by faith. So let's write that out and consider this together. The law was our guardian until Christ came, comma, in order that, our key words, we might be justified by faith. Period. So this is verse 24. We're going to label our propositions. Verse 24, A and B. Draw a line, one arc over each proposition. And then we're going to ask, what is the relationship between these two propositions? And we already identified our keywords here. In order that, which points us to the relationship of action, purpose. We've seen the intentionality, God's intention that the law was our guardian until Christ came. So the intention of God in the timeline of history, in the revelation of the law and the coming of Christ, that was timely according to a purpose that God had in mind, an intention that we might be justified by faith, Paul says in Galatians. So we're going to label this as action and purpose, and draw one arc over this to designate that the relationship between these two propositions is one of action and purpose. And then we're going to step back and begin to meditate on this action and the purpose of God in this action. And this is an example of how to arc action and purpose.